Well, hello, and welcome back. I'm AJ O'Neill, and goodness knows I need a sip of focus. So before we go any further, let's hear a word from our sponsor, but not really our sponsor, Mr. Mountain Dew. Pop a top, my friends. Oh, come on, fingernails, don't fail me now. Oh, an open focus. Okay, I'm finally ready to get work done. It's taken, I don't know, a good 48 hours, but I'm there. All right, so let me get the chat up because I forgot to put the chat up, and then I'm going to give you a brief overview of what we're going to be doing tonight. We'll see how far we go here. But basically, so we've decided to refactor the code base, and I'm not exactly sure how to go about it. But the first thing we're doing is just getting rid of a bunch of magic numbers. It's a pretty mundane task. It's a pretty easy thing, but it's just one of those things that needs done. And here's a prime example of the problem with refactoring magic numbers is, so you can see here, and I pulled this up by mistake, but then realized this is perfect. You can see here I've got this magic number is 2. So magic number just means when you put numbers in code, but you don't have a description of what they are, you don't assign them to a variable, essentially. So I've moved this to a constants file, and now it's called c.rolladmin, which is correct. But then down here, a couple lines later, I did c.rollowner, which is actually not what we want. This should still be admin. So because I knew that it was likely that I had made some mistakes like this, I asked my coworker to do the same thing as well. And we did not, our changes don't match, which is just kind of to be expected. And so we need to, I'm going to be going through that process of getting the changes to match. That's what I'm going to be doing tonight. But before I do that, no, I'm just going to go straight into that. That's what I'm going to do. So anyway, hey, welcome. Thanks for joining in. I'd love to know who you are and what brings you here tonight. I'm also going to lift up my chair just a little bit more. There we go. Don't want too much headroom, max headroom, but not a touch more. There we go. Better. All right. And by the way, so some stream stuff that's going on. Well, first do I get this right? Well, let's go ahead and put that right. Some stream stuff that's going on. I actually decided finally to get one of those little Stream Deck things to replace the stupid keyboard, because this keyboard is garbage, and well, not that it's garbage, it is kind of garbage, but it doesn't work for doing the things that I want it to do, so I didn't end up using it because key bindings, and it just didn't work out. It just didn't work out to have the gamer macro keyboard. It really, I guess it only works in Windows or whatever. So I'm actually going to get since I've been doing this for a long time, I'm pretty sure over 6 months now, I decided to go ahead and upgrade to the Elgato stream board thing. So if anybody has any experience with that and tips and tricks, or knows a video I should watch about it, let me know. But I'm hoping I can do just add in another camera angle, and then be able to switch screens sometimes to do full screen if I need to, or something like that, and actually use it rather than just have it sit there and only press one button on it because it's the only button that works. Anyway, sorry, end rant. We're going to go into server. I got this branch magic numbers. That's what we're working off. Now, in this particular case, what I actually need to do, well, I'm going to fix this first and foremost because I can see this is wrong. What file was this in? I'm going to use multiple screens in this case, and this is one of the rare instances where I think I actually need multiple screens, because I'm going to need to have, my changes, and as well as my coworkers' changes. I'm going to need to kind of compare them and the code simultaneously. So I think I'm going to keep the code here and move one of those screens over here. In fact, I think I've got just the one to move right here. And then I'll move this over here. There we go. Yeah, so I got that up now. And we're going to go in here, and then where was it? It was role admin and then role owner. So this, we got to be careful about this. What line was this on? Admin and owner 127. Let's take a look here. Line 127. So this should be admin. In this case, I made the permission too strict because you're probably familiar with the terminology owner and then admin, and then there's manager and editor and all that kind of stuff. Hey, Kai, what's up? Hey. Oh, how you doing, man? Chinese New Year holiday season. Okay, cool. Cool. How have you been? How's that Node project going? By the way, if you want to jump in and just chat for a minute, I'd love to have you. I'll send you a link. Just let me know. Oh man, 0 days without incident. Ah. Oh, you got me all excited. I'm okay. I'm okay. 0 days without incident. We're back to the counter. Oh, okay. Yeah, so I know I need to do that one. I need to fix that. I think there's another place where I'm not sure if I fixed this. I've got a big diff, just so you can see what this is. I've got this diff. Yeah, I think you can see that. And that's what I'm looking at on the screen. Is I'm trying to, and I'm going to make that even smaller, I think, so I can just see more of it at a time and kind of scroll and see. All right. So in his code base, there's something I think I see I need to change. Okay. So one thing I'm going to do here, I'm just going to go ahead and commit this for myself. And I'm just going to call that F for fix that's going to be folded in. I'm going to go over to his, which had some weird name for it, because I don't know why. But I'm guessing he was going to do something else with the branch. Yeah, he was going to work on the join tables, but then ended up just not doing that as much. So I'm going to use SD because one of the things, there in the constants file, there already was a thing called admin. But what I did is I rescoped all the constants. Let me show the constants file. Let me just show for context here. Because there was a constants file that was kind of half used before. So we can see there's an active, onboarding, unconfirmed. I may have even started this. I don't know who started this. I wouldn't have done this though, I don't think. I don't like, this is too many layers of metaprogramming for me. So I'm not a big fan. Because this is actually, you see this in PHP. If you use a double $sign, it takes the variable of the variable in ECMAScript, not in the original JavaScript, but in ECMAScript. If you put brackets around something, which seems kind of weird because that already has a meaning, but I guess because its syntax isn't super ambiguous here, because I won't go into the history of the parser. Yeah, so they decided that this would be a meta variable. So it's a variable of a variable. And so here that becomes 1 rather than being the name of the key in the object. It's kind of a weird thing. So I don't like doing it because it's too hard to explain to people. And meta programming is bad enough. Meta programming, that's too much. Okay, so here we have owner, admin, so on and so forth. And so what I did is I scope these a little differently. So here's field, which is it's a classification, and then company is another classification, and then this is the thing that follows is the instance. I don't know how to explain it, but basically this isn't the way that I want it to be ultimately, but it's a good stopgap for now. So field is its own classification of constants. There's a bunch of field constants, and there's a bunch of field set, constants, and so on and so forth. And so what he did was he saw that there was already this admin and owner up here, and he didn't see the comment that this is deprecated. And so I'm going to change in his branch just so that there aren't so many differences, because a bunch of the differences between our two branches are just a couple of areas where he chose to use the constant differently than I did. because the communication wasn't clear. So I'm gonna replace all instances of c.admin with c.roleAdmin, because there are some clashes in the namespaciness of the constants. So oh, let's see. Still plugging away with the Node.js project. So did you get the templating stuff worked out? Because I realized the example that I sent you actually isn't right for your use case, because the way that I was using EDA with obviously you don't need MJML, but the way that I was using EDA directly with files is not the way that you would use it with Express. And I don't exactly know how Express does its Finder magic, but I think it's tied to the underlying plugin. So I think if you just used EDA with their normal Express example, it should have done what you wanted, and you could just put .html on the file extension rather than omitting the file extension, and it should have worked. But let me know if, yeah, did you get that figured out, or did you choose a different route? So most things have been dropped until some family feasting stuff is done. Family feasting? I don't know what family feasting means. Yeah, I'd be happy to do a code review. I think that'd be awesome. Yeah, so hit me up. Okay, so I'm going to go under here, and this is one thing I don't like about SD, is that it actually doesn't include there's a common library for Rust programs and Node programs too for globbing. There's actually, for Go programs, I don't know if I actually published it, but there's a fix. There's a fix for the globber in Node, a very, very simple fix. It'll never make it into core because of some beliefs they have about the way that globbing should work, I think, if I followed the streams of whatever was going on correctly. But there's a really, really simple module that does correct globbing the way that most of us are familiar with for the Go module. And I wanted to do a video on that sometime. Anyway, let me do this. Can I do this in string mode? Literal mode? Okay, so the question that I'm looking for, because I can't do star star, I want to be able to do source star star slash star.js, and that should say find everything under source, recursively, the matches.js. But because this library doesn't actually, this is Rust, or the CLI tool is Rust, but it doesn't actually use the globbing library that most everybody uses, and so I can't use that technique. So I have to do something a little bit different here. And this is one of those things where I had to make a little note to myself of what it looks like, because essentially the way that I need to run the command, if I just copy and paste this, it gets really confusing looking really fast, and you'll understand exactly what I'm talking about. What is going on? Something went wrong with the window manager there for a second. My cursor was ghosting me. What happened? What did I do? Oh, I hit the wrong key. All right. So then we got to do this, and then we got to do like this, and then we got to do like this. And now I've forgotten even how many stars I'm supposed to have. Apparently I've got one too many, so that's good, I guess. All right. Cool. So yeah, so there's a bunch of places where he did admin and then likewise owner instead of role.owner. So I'm going to get a better diff out of these if I do it this way. And then just do a quick sanity check here and make sure. Oh, that's not good. Oh. Okay, but I know what to do. I know what to do. Don't y'all worry. Don't you worry your pretty little heads. I got this all figured out, baby doll. So we're going to do a \b to mean border character. So a good thing I did that sanity check. Didn't just wantonly commit. All right, now if we do the same diff again, we should see that the match is a bit tighter. Let me see if there's any other places where it looks really bad. There's a bunch of file changes here. Oh, good. All right, that looks perfect. That looks like it matches exactly the intended things that it was supposed to match. So I'm just going to put fix c.admin to c.roleAdmin. By the way, feel free to ask ask questions, make comments, etc. I like the conversation. Helps me, I don't know, it kind of helps me stay focused in kind of a weird way. Hello, Baikal. Good to see you again. Family feasting is what you do around this Chinese New Year period. I don't know what that means. But what does family feasting mean? Does family feasting mean that you just hang out with a family, or does it mean you stuff your face until you become a family? Or what does it mean? That's what I'm trying to figure out here. All right, so I'm going to push this up, and then I'm going to redo. I'll show you how I did this. So we both were assigned the same task, and then the goal is to see do our results match. So what I did, I'll do this again. Get checkout dash d magic, call it magic numbers x. All right, so I'm going to check out magic numbers. All right, and then I'm going to check out dash b magic numbers x, and then I'm going to check out the code. So I'm not merging it in. I'm just checking out the code from that branch. And so what this is going to give me is the diffs. And the reason I'm doing this is so I can look at it in the diff tool in GitHub. So now it doesn't matter what I call this, blah, because it's not sticking around. The purpose of this is solely to be able to look at it in the GitHub editor. I'm not going to merge that in. It's just to make my job easier of saying, okay, because we should have done the same job. We shouldn't have done different jobs. Ideally, because we're both trying to accomplish the same thing, there should be no differences. But the reason, like I said, because this is so tedious and so error prone, I wanted us to both do it so that we would find, it's not as likely that we're both going to make the same mistake. It's likely that we're both going to make mistakes, but not make the same mistake. And so that's what I'm going for here. Okay, I'm going to split this back. I'm going to get this back into a split view. And then I'm going to go back into, well, I don't know where I'm going to need to go yet. Okay, there's a couple of things I wish that okay, we got some white space changes. Gosh darn it. NPM run prettier. It's running a long time there. Lots of files, hundreds of files. Oh, good, no changes. So let me go check out mine. I'm going to say that he's probably the offender here, because it seems that he doesn't have something right with his editor. Because a number of times I've found that there's tabs instead of spaces or something like that. But I'm checking my code first because it looks like it's my fault. No? Okay. Okay. Now we're going to try him. NPM run prettier. Because I definitely don't want white space as much as possible. I mean, I guess I could just click the no white space rule, but I don't want that cluttering up as much as I can. Okay, that's kind of weird because there's no need for that. Okay, you put some parse ints in places where the parse int doesn't make sense. That's okay. I did that too. It's hard when you're just looking at numbers and some of them are strings. Wait, how's this possible? How did neither of us mess up the white space in either of our files, but then the white space was messed up in the diff between the two? That doesn't make sense. Whatever. I'm going to forget about it. All right, magic numbers x. Just magic numbers. Okay. So maybe I should bring this over here. So, having what? 10 eyes on it is better than 2. So maybe you can help me out a little bit. So we're just going through here. We're looking for anything that is inconsistent. Now you'll notice he chose to put the require down towards the bottom. I put things that represent constants up at the top. So that was just a difference in style. On the left is what mine looks like. On the right is what his looks like. And then I had deleted this on my side. So he didn't add it on his side. I just deleted it on my side. Maybe we should have done this the reverse way so that mine's on the right and his is on the left. Anyway, so here he missed a spot. So I was very meticulous. I actually put in the issue, I'll show you, well, he put in his too. I think he put in his as well. I think we both documented how we did our find and replace. So if we do replace all magic numbers, this was my regular expression that I used to try to find all the magic numbers in the code, which I'm not going to explain why that was, but it's just basically certain patterns in the code lend themselves to being able to predict where a magic number is going to follow a colon or an equals or something like that. Same thing here. So that's how I found everything. And then this, I think, would have been finding almost all numbers, but I didn't end up going that far because that was too much. But yeah, so we both, and I think he did the same thing where he used grep and Perl regular expressions rather than modern regular expressions. But we both grepped through the code to try to find all the magic numbers that we could. But as you can see, my regex was obviously better. All right, and so, yeah, he put a parseInt around here, which one, you've heard me in a previous stream, not allowed. No JavaScript expressions instead of template strings. Not a one, never. But I don't think I've communicated that with him yet, as far as code style goes. But anyway, so, yeah, this is actually a number, so there's no need to parse it as an integer, but it's just one of those things where throughout the code, sometimes there's strings and sometimes there's numbers, and there's a lot of lazy comparisons. So the string 10 against the number 10. And so, yeah, I get that. We just have to kind of be, yeah. So for example, here, this was what was in there before, and I changed this to a parseInt. And then he added the parseInt over here because, again, it looks like, wait, are we comparing a string or a number? Why are we multiplying by 1? This doesn't make sense. So he added, yeah, I think he just mistakenly added some parseInts in some places. Okay, let me check comments again. Just eat as a family. Okay, do you eat all day long as a family? I'm serious. Okay, and then this one, I think he did this better. He did this the right way. I need to update mine. So he moved this out to, and it's funny because we actually swapped, because there's another place I already saw where I did the correct thing and then he put it in the template string. I'm pretty sure. But at least I know there's another place where I put it in the template string. So there's one place where I didn't do it the way that I should have done it, which is if you already have something, anytime you're doing SQL, or something's going into another interpreter, it needs to either be parameterized or it needs to be using a template function, which template functions are just regular functions, but there's a special syntax in ECMAScript that you can abuse in order to call a template function on strings. I'm not going to go into it unless it becomes relevant later. But there's too many. ECMAScript is too large of a language. That's, you've heard me rant about this a million times, but that's my problem. It's too big. Too big. Whoops. Whoa, what is that? Oh, was that safe? Scan QR code. Do I want to scan a QR? I don't know if I feel comfortable scanning that QR code. What's going to happen if I do that? Hey, actually, perfect opportunity to try this new thing. So I've got this new thing. I'm going to try it out right now. Oh yeah. Here we go. So now let's, oh, is it upside down? It's upside down. Why is it upside down? All right, that's okay. What happens if we scan this QR code? Oh, nope, that's not it. That's not it. Hold on. We're gonna get there. I can click this if I just try hard enough. Okay, what happens? Bum, 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 bum. And then? Nothing happens. What if I change it this direction? No? Great. It's just a useless QR code. That's all, y'all. It does nothing. Man, now somebody's going to be able to hack my computer and get all the accesses. Okay, we're going to go back to the half desktop view. That's a new thing. I was watching some streamer videos today, just educating myself on how I could maybe do things a little better. And I thought that was cool. I thought it was a cool idea. And I'm going to have a stream button. So if I want to go to the desk cam because I want to show something, then I can do that. And I think that's kind of neat. It gives me a little bit of versatility that you don't get with a, with a fixed camera. If you want to, I don't know, if I want to show something on my desk. Also, I'm going to use a thing right above me as a mount. We can, I don't know if we'll do this, but you can do a top down view kind of thing. I mean, you let me know if I'm getting too crazy, if I'm having grandiose ideas here. AJ, the Stream King. Coding on parade. All right, so that's what I ought to do there. Okay, so again, just to, whoops, be sure that is exactly what I intended to do, to move that there, to put it in. Yep, okay, cool. All right, so his version was more correct. Okay, now here, he's got, okay. All right, so there's a bunch of places where constants were there that were old constants that didn't get updated. That's fine. Oh, and I thought this commit got in somewhere else. I need to check this real quick because this commit should have gone in somewhere else. Let me do a git log, see what we have here. Swap magic numbers, swap magic numbers. I guess in order to pass something through, see all of these whip, more, all the stupid commits, they're going to go away. Add Stripe account. I thought I meant to do this maybe as a separate, I don't know. But I changed for some reason, I changed the function signature of this function. And that does need to get a review. Okay, again, getting rid of all the places where there's a multiply. And see, in JavaScript, you can coerce something into a number by doing multiply by 1, but this doesn't make any sense. If you just look at it, you don't get it. If you do a %, it's clear, oh, this is a string I want to turn into a number. If you do multiply by 1, then it looks cool. And cool is bad because cool means it's unintuitive and difficult to understand. That's the definition of cool. People don't say things are cool when they're simple and boring, like code should be. Let's see here. Changing angles would be a good idea. All right, well, we got 1 vote for changing angles. I think I'm going to get a second Mountain Dew because I'm a real man. Okay. Yeah, he was telling me I'm going to razz him a little bit tomorrow. Hopefully in a good way. But he was telling me, he's like, oh, yeah, my regular expression's probably a little more broad than yours. I'm going to catch more stuff. Okay, cool. But as we can see, his regular expression was not. But did he catch? But he did catch this. That's good. Okay, so I need to have that in mind. So let me go update mine again. Good, I will. Good to have you on the team. So this is one of the ones where I'm a little confused. It's got plus, and then it's got, I don't know if that's supposed to be a tab or 2 spaces or what. Oh, it's inside of a template string. Yeah, so that's not going to be caught. So my editor is set to remove regardless of language formatting. If there is an empty line with empty spaces, my editor is set up to remove it. That's probably what this was. Okay, so, but this is correct, I think. The problem is, I don't know when we know when something is a number or when it isn't a number. Where does this insert even come from? Let's expand this out a little bit here. Where did insert come from? Insert is rec.body. Okay, so we do not know whether it's a number or a string. We don't have that data contract with the front end. So yes, absolutely 100% on line 120, there needs to be a % there. Good catch. Okay, 120. So we need a parse int because we do not know from whence this came. But we don't need to parse that because we do know from whence that came. All right, moving along. So what are the rest of you up to? All right. Yeah, this to-do. I don't know why that to-do got removed. Because that to-do should be there. I think it's because, I think this might be an instance where something got messed up. So project template, I'm going to go ahead and go into the... Oh, by the way, I mentioned this many moons ago, but there's a sound that I do sometime that I don't know where it comes from. I thought maybe it's from Bewitched. I thought maybe it's from Link to the Past, or maybe it's from I Dream of Jeannie, or it's some sort of realm change sound, or the I can't even do it in my head. I can do, but it doesn't come out. But if you know what it is, please let me know, because that's one of the I'm going to have sound buttons. It's going to be so cool. I'm going to be just like all those pompous streamers that actually make money. Well, no, I guess I make money too, because people find me through the streams and then I get hired for stuff. So that counts. That's making money. And before you know it, I'll have the millions will just be rolling in. I'll make Bill Gates look like a peasant. All right. Going to be independently wealthy at the age of 35 after all. Got until my birthday. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm on the other screen right now. I'm just logging into MySQL. Don't tell anybody that I'm using MySQL. Like I said, it's a legacy project. Nobody needs to know, right? Project template. So I'm going to do select star from, I've got there's actually another thing I need to have open on this other screen as well, because I might have already had this. I'm going to look and see if 36 is in here. I've got a big list of all the constants that we've identified. Oh, bless me. Because I actually went through and found them in the database first and created the list in the constants file, and then I went and did the find and replace through the files. That way I wouldn't be context switching back and forth. So I did a set of work where I was just working through the database, and then I did a set of work where I was just working through the files. Okay, so select from project template. Let's see. We do have project template table. And we're going to do where ID equals 36. And let's see if that makes any sense. Test shell, do not delete. Test shell, do not delete. The label is test shell. The description is test shell, do not delete. And the admin label is test shell, do not delete. So I don't know what test shell is, but I know we're not supposed to delete it. That was the wrong, no. That's what I meant to do. This is, no. Why am I mixing up my hand gestures? This is okay. This is, see what happens when I'm not loaded up with enough of this stuff. Okay. Yeah, I'm definitely going to get another one. It's probably a really bad idea. I'm probably going to regret it tomorrow, but I won't regret it tonight, and that's what's important. Okay. So let's go. I must have thought that I was going to do that. Deleted the comment, got distracted. Somebody asked me a question. I distracted myself, more likely, and then just didn't get back to it. See? Project template. So right here, project templates are one of the problems with the refactor is the nomenclature has changed, I don't know, a dozen times since the formation of the company. And so the constants are the new names that when we talk in the office, we say, oh, this thing. And the database is based on the old names that might never change. So test shell, should I put D&D, do not delete? I don't know, or is just that, is that sufficient? What do y'all think? And I really actually do mean what do y'all think, because we are trying to update the code to be, obviously you have to learn some of the internal company nomenclature, but the goal here is that this should be more clear to the people when we hire new people. It should become more clear. Okay, so where did that 36 come from? Was I not just right in here? 36. What the letter L? Hold on, where was that? Oh, I didn't go into it yet because I was doing the database thing first. Got it. Okay, here we are. Yeah, I had such a hard time the past 2 days. My focus has been really bad. It's changing of the seasons. That's what I'm going to blame it on. All right, so this was flow test shell. All right. So primarily, I think what I'm going to want to have go through the review process, because actually independently our pull requests have been reviewed, but I want to get us to agree on the diff, because that's the part that's the most important bits is what did we find or miss or whatever. Okay, so that one should be good. Let's move right along. Oh no. No, don't go back. Don't go back. Go forward. Okay, good. We're back to forward. Back to the future. Excellent. Okay. So that's correct. Yeah. So this is the one where he didn't catch that one, but I caught it, and 2 is admin, so we're good there. Okay, this one, that was unused. My linter was telling me that was unused, so I got rid of it. Okay, to do. Yeah. Yeah, this to do is good. This was his to do. He must have put that to do in there because he wasn't sure what to get it as, I guess. Because who knows what that means? What does stage ID mean? This is the HubSpot. HubSpot it's, oh gosh, I hate it so much, to be honest. It's one of those, you go on a website and then after you've been on the site for all of 3/4 of a second and you've scrolled down the page one line to be able to read the visible text and it pops up, what can we help you with? Do you want to connect with us? We've got an automated assistant. Yeah, it's one of those things. But the thing is, people use it, surprisingly. But I can't stand it. But that's so whatever this magic number here is, let's see what the pipeline dict is. I'm going to go try to find that real quick, because that might tell us what this is. That didn't help at all. Not even a little bit. Oh, it literally does not help. There's nothing. What? Oh. All right, let's see. Is this something that's set up? Define pipelines, get pipelines. 4 is completed. Okay. So what's get pipelines then? Get pipelines comes from here. Okay, well, let's go see what get pipelines does. All right, tickets, data reduce, blah, 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 blah. Stages. Yeah, who knows? That one's, I'm going to say that one's, that's a little too tough, and we should be able to move that into its own code. That might be part of the a different effort. So I'm going to leave that one alone for now. I agree with the assessment of figure out what the letter L this means. So I'm going to bring that over. Stage ID. Where were we on this one? Hey, what's up? Welcome to the channel. I'm just going through, I'm doing some work stuff. I didn't get my hours in today, so I'm getting my hours in tonight because, I don't know, there's too many things that I was just behind on, and ADHD and brain not functioning, and nighttime is the right time. Okay. Don't do anything if this ticket is still in the new bucket. So I'm going to say possibly the new bucket as per right here. So that's actually, a pretty decent comment, I'd say. All right. Agreed. Moving right along. And again, feel free to ask me questions. Get high recommendations. So this is all cron report. Oh no, this is a different thing. It doesn't have to be related to what we're doing here. I enjoy the questions. And I enjoy the code questions. We have lots of good code rants. In fact, I'm in the process of hiring somebody to go through the streams when I know that there's a good, when we have some good clips, and extracting those out and creating a highlights reel. So the Q&A it becomes the best part. All right, so this is a default parameter for base level, get high recommendations. I want to find out what is this? Stop it. Let's see if this works as expected. Is it going to be an HTTP? No, it is actually, okay. So this is the thing I don't like. And maybe it's because I'm an old fart, but they do these stupid things where I just want to be able to copy and paste this. And instead of making it so it's easy for me to copy and paste, they put a copy and paste button. But so in the old world, we used to be able to select text, and this feature now, because it's like, oh, well, the div starts literally right here at this pixel. And if you go one pixel over, then it's a link. And if you go one, we used to actually have white space in between characters. It wasn't, if we zoom in here, it wasn't like, okay, this is the one pixel I can select at. But, one day maybe things will change. Probably not. Probably just continue to get worse. It's okay. There we go. In this particular case, it's not that bad, but. All right, so I'm trying to find get. Yeah, okay, days passed. Okay, that makes sense. 7, that's literally a number of days. But this base level thing, what does base level mean? Recommendation. Okay, well, here's where we can go find out where it means. I'm going to go do a query in the database. Let's see if we can select star from, well, let's see. I bet the table is called recommendation level. Let's see if I can do describe recommendation level. Oh, I got lucky. There is a table called recommendation level. Select star from recommendation level. Let's see. Oh, hey. Oh, to-do level. Duh. This is the to-do level. There's recommendation, to-do, and signature. Base level is signature. All right. C.to-do level signature. That's what that one's supposed to be. And then let me go make sure that this is actually in the constants. To-do level Yeah, QRST. All right, so signature. The question is, in this type of case, do you follow the convention of alphabetical order or do you follow numerical order? I'm going with alphabetical order. Might be wrong. Might not be the right choice. Should be numerical order. I think that's what I did up here. Yeah, consistency is key. Fail. But whatever. To-do level signature. To-do level signature. Got it. All right. Win. One more magic number down. Okay, and... Oh, good. So he did find one that I did not find. Good, good. Order recs. I think that's going to be recommendations. So I bet if I find a recommendation that's 135. So these are to-do tasks, meaning there's a bunch of tasks in the system that either you're assigned to complete, but there's a category of different types of tasks, and the level is sign actually means that it's dated. It means that it must be done by a particular date, but it was intended for documents. The document needs to be signed, but it's really dated because if something must be signed, anything that's dated must be signed. Anything that has a specific timeline to it must be signed. Then the to-do level is just, well, you ought to do this at some point, but there's not a specific date by which you need to do it. It's just in the list of things. And then recommendation is, we don't actually know if you must complete this or not, but it seems likely from the other behaviors that you're engaged in. So this is related to business formation, that kind of thing. All right. So we're going to select star from recommendation where ID equals 35. So this to-do type is empty set. Well, let's go figure out what order recs is. Order recs probably means to create to-do items, but who knows? Wait, user ID? What, the letter L? Nah. What? Because there's all these thoughts going through my head so quickly. Okay, I will select from the users table. I'll bite. What? Maybe we have some sort of test user or admin user or special purpose user that has the ID of 135. But are you reading what I'm reading here? Order recs, account data, function order recs. Maybe there's more than one order recs function, because the partner recs. So partner recs is basically when you have a collaboration with another entity, organization, or individual. That can be a partner recommendation. So in order to engage in that activity, there are to-do items that you need to complete that engagement. I might actually be saying that wrong in terms of the way our system actually works, but that's how I believe it works. Ugh. All right. So user ID, I'm guessing, what is this function called? Flatten? No. Test? Test render. Okay. That one's called test. That makes sense. So it might be a test fixture user. What is this one called? Render weekly reports. So that's going to be, maybe we have a system user that might be called literally system user. So when you get an email, who's it from? Or on behalf of who? On behalf of who or behalf of whom? I don't know is it ablative? Adjective? What's the case for that? Anyway, okay, so let's try this. Select star from user user where ID equals 135. Empty. Okay, I need to dig deeper. I'm going to figure this one out. All right, user ID. Let's see. User ID, user ID, user ID equals user ID. User ID, user ID. What the letter L? What the letter L? Okay, let me... Where user ID less than 135? Where user greater than 135? I'm going to guess. I have no idea. This is going down as a question mark. Boop. Say, it appears that there is no user 135. Was this meant as a cutoff point for some set of users that were test users or in a group of data that needed to be migrated? There we go. This is so confusing. Okay, let's read this out loud together. So there's going to be some to-do items, and we're going to sort them. So it says order. I would rename this to sort. Because in database terminology, order is correct, but in JavaScript terminology, sort is correct because order sounds as though you're going to, for example, purchase something or create, begin a process for something. So we have these things. So it looks like an array of array. Array of arrays. I don't quite get that. Why is it an array of arrays? Let me back up here. Let's back the truck up. Order rex. Okay, account data comes from flatten rex. Flatten rex. Well, they're obviously not flat though. Holy L. See, this is look at this. Look at this. Again, I do not, just arrow functions are a hard pass in my world. They're not worth it. It's just too many parentheses and just what are we trying to explain here? What is the intention of what's being done? You know? And I think one of the bad things about underscore is you don't know whether it's going to be operating on an object or an array. So I don't know what. Okay, but what is this intended? Okay, so this is to-dos. This is to-dos. See, this is one of the problems of singular letter variables, because this is designed to be a generic math function, right? It's not designed for the code where the code is. So E is a to-do item, maybe, but I don't even know what this is, right? We don't know what this is passing in. Ostensibly it's recommendations, but it's obviously not recommendations because it's some other structure or group. What it's returning is ostensibly recommendations, but even here it's an array of arrays. And then what is this? If this is a to-do, would this be a subtask? I don't know. Is this the larger check group item and then a child check group item. See, I'm a big believer in naming the variables. If it's well known and well understood, if it's something common, then yeah, single letter is fine. But E and F, I think it's E for element and then F because F follows E is the reason it was written that way originally. Okay, so I don't know what this does. It returns an array of arrays, but I don't even get it because it's looping over some. So is this an object of objects and it's becoming an array of arrays? Not really sure. All right, let's take a look here. Okay, so this is the dictionary, and then we get the test ID there. Okay. So this is a dictionary. Got it. That's clear. And the dictionary, we're not flattening it. It's going to array is essentially what this is. This is taking a map and turning it into an array. And then we're going to sort them. Okay, I'm in the weeds here because I think I need to go back to this one and just kind of look through it. I was trying to understand what are these objects, but let's forget about that for a second. It's an array of arrays. Got it. Done. Okay, so if the user ID, so we're sorting by user ID, that seems kind of strange to me. I bet that 135 is a threshold in the production environment that it's reserved, that a certain class of user can only be created with the user ID must be above that for a certain class of user, and for a certain class of user it must be below that, but not because it's enforced in the code, but probably because at the time that this code was written, it was probably significant in some way. Let's see. Okay. So if A and B are the same, which we should be able to do a triple equals here, but I'm too afraid to do it. Then return 0. If the user ID is 135, again, this points to there being something special. Okay, I'm going to bite. I'm going to log into production, and I'm going to see if in production there's a user 135. So again, I say again as if I've said this before explicitly, but I probably have not said this before explicitly, but we shouldn't be logging into production. Production is an environment that, oh good, I'm locked out of production from here, as I should be. I should not have access to production on my home computer. I'm glad that I don't. But I have access to my work computer from my home computer. So, you know what I'm saying? Okay. So, yeah, I'm gonna bite. Whoops. Put-a-doop. Give me just a second here. Let me check out that database. I'm just. Uh-oh. I'll be right back. I need to go check out what that was. That may have been my daughter falling out of bed. In which case I would expect her to scream. That was heavy. Hold on. Yeah, I'll be right back. Okay. Daughter's asleep in bed, so must have just been pterodactyl landing on the roof, or next door neighbors throwing bowling balls at the wall or something. Oh, that was scary. We recently got her. She's only 2, but we got her a bunk bed because we're living on the edge. It has a nice high wall and everything, but who knows what kids are going to do in the middle of the night, right? Anyway, time to even focus a second time. This is going to go great. I'm not going to regret this at all in the morning. Not a bit. Okay. So what was I doing? Oh yeah, I was eyeballing some dependencies suspiciously because I wanted to install a tool to be able to inspect something, and it was installing a bunch of other stuff, and I just thought, this is the problem with the world today, among all the other problems with the world today. Okay, so we're going to select star from user where ID equals 135. Let's see what production says. I don't know if this is a real person's name or if this is a fake person's name. But there is a user 135 in prod, but it doesn't. It could be one of the partner users, meaning a user that provides services to other users. Let me go check and see. I'm looking at their website right now. Doesn't appear to be that way, although they're using HubSpot too. No sooner did I scroll the page to read the text that's on the page than did I get the wonderful assistant popping up to let me know that I can open up a live chat. Why don't you let me figure out what I'm doing first? But here we are. Okay, so I don't know. Yeah, that doesn't appear to be a user that has any special property. But anyway, so if the user is this particular user, or if the one user ID, so basically we're saying user 135 should always be at the top of this list. That's basically what I'm getting out of this. User ID. Another thing, we can localize this, because we don't actually need that 135 anywhere except for right here. So we could just do let magic user ID equals 135. We could take that out entirely because this is not at all generic. So what this is saying is magic user will always sort to the top of the list, and then other users will sort by their ID number, which I don't know why that's relevant. Okay. And then we do another sort. After we do the first sort, we do another sort. And with this sort, we say if they don't have a partner, then they sort higher. If the partner IDs are equal, then they sort equally. But if the partner ID is higher, it sorts higher. This just seems bogus. I don't know why this would be useful. Doesn't mean that it isn't useful, but this seems like we could just delete this and the world would not change. This must be as part of some, I'd say it's got to be entirely part of a test. Render weekly report. Why wouldn't we want to sort them alphabetically? Why would we sort by user ID? What is this weekly report for? Maybe this is a system weekly report. I don't think that's the case. Report document uploads. Weekly report. Okay, let's trace a little bit longer here. Render weekly report. Okay, let's go up here. Where does this come from? Send account weekly reports. Makes sense. All right. It's only used in one place. Okay. So report weekly account email. Feels like these are all named kind of the same thing. All right. Report weekly account email. So that's used somewhere else. Where is it used? The only place it's used is in a cron job. Well, not real cron job, but JavaScript cron. Okay. Report weekly account email. Oh, no, we were already in that file. Wait, hold on. No, what? What a huh? What a huh? Oh, what a huh, indeed. All right, so actions. Hmm. 112 milligrams going to work. Where's 106? Oh, it's 108. Here I was thinking I knew my drink of choice. I swear they change it every week. They got rid of the brominated vegetable oil. It's never been the same since. Who cares about a little risk of cancer when you can have complete satisfaction? Okay, so I'm now at the point of I think that that's code that just needs to be deleted. That's my guess. My guess is that we've identified some code that it will make no difference whatsoever if we just delete it. And I'm not sure. I think what's happening is the cron-ishness was actually moved out to a separate service. And so now they think the file has still remained cron, but I think what's happening is that there's a privileged webhook that comes in that causes a report to be generated. I am interested to see if, does this have the username in it? Let's go back to here. This has ops. Okay, what are ops? Do we have anything indicating send account weekly? Okay. Ops. If it's sending an email, I can only imagine that at some point the email must be given a username. Okay. Emails. Where do emails come from? Emails is account users. Okay, so there's a weekly report that's going out to all users that has something to do with the things that it's recommended that they do, and the things that it's recommended that they do, for some reason, appear to be sorted by the ID of the relationship rather than anything intrinsic to what the thing is. So yeah, this is one of those things where we're just going to have the conversation. Hey, is this just old junk code that needs to be deleted? And I think the answer is probably going to be, yeah, we could just delete that. Because if we wanted to sort it by priority, these dated items need to be done first. These are the items that we think that, but this just doesn't seem, to have that. Okay. And then here, oh, look at that. There's one I didn't catch. Let's go check it out. Wait, wasn't that right here? Wasn't that in this file? Report document uploads, role.id. Ah. Oops. And that was one, which is owner. Okay, good. Oh, but I don't have that file imported here. I just grab it from here. Cool beans. Oh, and I do want to make one other change in there while I'm in there. All right, there we are. And I'm guessing the reason that Will was using this syntax may have been that there's some tool or parser that he's using that if it's a double star in a to-do, it gets marked in some special way. Or maybe that's a convention he follows from somewhere else. But that looks like it might be the kind of thing that when we run JS doc on it or something, it'll flag it as to-dos in the code. That would be cool. Although I do agree, I don't remember who it was that said it, but somebody said you should never have a to-do in a comment because a to-do belongs in an issue. And I'm of two minds about it because issues are not part of the code. And sometimes a to-do is descriptive that something is a mistake that deserves some correction. All right, so here, looks like we all agree, other than the parse enting. Okay, and then here's a place where I think I can just update his branch. And then these will go away. So I think I'm going to do that real quick. Inverse transaction. Yeah, I think he left it and I updated it, which makes sense because he wouldn't have found it in his search. Hey, welcome to the channel. It is currently 1:42 a.m. in my local time. What time is it where you are? Where are you from? Yeah, see, you didn't think I saw you come in, but I saw you sneak on in. It's my all-seeing eye. It's one of my programmer powers. I bet there's some little plugin that will play a ding every time somebody joins, but that would be obnoxious because a lot of people join for 30 seconds and then leave. Oh gosh. Do you remember back in the old AOL days? Somebody coming into the chat room, somebody leaving the chat room? Or no, it wasn't called a chat room. What was it? What was an instant message group or an instant? It was called a chat room, wasn't it? All right, I'm going to check out Big Refactor. And I'm going to edit the same file that I was just in, I think. Let's see, which one was it? No, it's not the file I was just in. Okay, that's fine. All right, so what I'm going to do is go back into a file where I recently was. Nope, not this one apparently. Wait, hold on. Oh, wait, no, this, what? Oh, no, he's got it there. Got it. Okay. Yeah, he just put all of his these things in a different place. By the way, the tool Comey can help you solve problems like this where systematically you want to take a particular require and move it from one place in the code to another place in the code. So with Comey, I actually did a bit of transformations like this where I said, oh, actually, I want to systematically make sure that this require is always the first require. And I would be able to go through and change the whole code base and make things more consistent that way. I'm not going to go through the trouble of figuring out how to do that right now because I never remember how to use Comey. Every time I go to use it, I have to go look up previous examples of what I did before. It's not that it's not intuitive. It's just not intuitively too intuitive. Okay, what was that? Field entity company type. Boom. Field company name. Oh, interesting. He didn't put the C in here. I wonder why that was. Because I don't think these... Huh, that's weird. Those were missing. This code wouldn't have run. Okay, well, let's continue to take a look. So that one's different, that one's different, that one's different, that one's different. There's 3. Identified 3. That's correct. And then this last one. All right. Well enough. Okay, this is good. Okay, and this is, yeah, I'm just going to call this one updates 2. I'm going to go ahead and push this up as well. It's going to be just fine. And then I'm going to do the same thing that I did before where I'm going to delete magic numbers. I'm going to check out my magic numbers. I'm going to check out -b, the new magic numbers, and I'm going to check out, actually, no. No, we're still going to, yeah, we're going to follow the same pattern that we've been following. All right. And then I put blah just because this is never going to make it anywhere. No one's ever even going to look at this. Other than me right now. And this little refresh button's going to appear. And then I'm going to say, refresh. Again, it's a tedious process, but I do feel that it is the appropriate process. Oh, this one. Yeah, there's a number of places where this just doesn't quite feel right. Because what this should be, I think, is if we're going to say, well, all right, so there's places where something can be. This is the complex versus complicated conundrum. So this, I would say, is complicated, and the alternative is complex. Well, it's actually relatively simple. It's just verbose. So we could basically pick an arbitrarily high number and say that the default here, in fact, I might just go do this. Let's just demonstrate this here. I'm gonna demonstrate. Let me see if I can dig out editor. This part. We got something's happening here. Okay, so I don't think that I'm actually going to be able to do what I want to do here, but this is a really good place to do it. I want to mark this as code that I want to come back and refactor. But so what we have here is a SQL query. So here's a big SQL query, right? And I think I tried to clean this up before. It might have been the same query. Yeah, because I adjusted the indentation on it. Although that's a little off, but whatever. But I'm pretty sure this is the one I tried to clean up before. In fact, this might have even been one of the ones that had a bug because of no, there was a group by. The one that had a bug was a group by. But see how there's this admin modifier here, and then here's some modifiers, and here's some modifiers, and here's some modifiers. So here's what we could do. Instead of building up the query in strings, we don't ever want to do this. In this particular case, I have personally verified, and Will has also pointed this out, and then it was rechecked. All of the inputs here are in fact clean inputs. There is, in this particular case, not as a pattern of behavior, but proof by exhaustion, there is no possibility of SQL injection in this code. So even this since raw, this is parsed and set somewhere. It is not it must be a number. It is not possible for it to be not a number or a string. Same thing here. This page limit was parsed somewhere else. So this looks like dangerous code, and it is in the pattern of dangerous code, but it is proof by exhaustion. It is safe code. We have verified manually, but we wouldn't have to verify manually if we took a look at it like this. So the reason that this is an admin modifier is we say, well, and UPA role ID is less than admin. So the way that the admin works here is basically we say an admin is a 2, an owner is a 1, a reader is a 3. I don't even know if we actually have that role. I think there's a reviewer is a 5. I don't know that we're using all of these roles, but there's these permissioned roles, and the closer you get to 1, the closer you are to, the 1 is the highest level of permission, and 99 would be the lowest level of permission. So what we could do here is we could say by default, I'm just going to do a little bit of refactor of this to show the principle of it, and then we will go back and we will figure out, well, I'm going to leave it alone. Sometime later I'll actually do this for real. But here's what we could do is I could say default, no, I could just say roll. I could just say roll equals 99. We could set it to an arbitrarily high value. We could do roll none is what we could do. So let's say I was going to do this. I'd go into lib or source constants. I'm going to go into this role here. So let's say we add a roll none, LMNO, okay, roll none, and we put it at 999. Whatever, doesn't matter. But we'll never have a roll that is that high is the point. So what we could do here is we could actually say we're always going to use this AND query, regardless of whether or not we want a permissed user. Because what we could do is set the default is roll none. We could take this bit here, that's the admin qualifier, and I'm just going to do this right now. So roll, here we could do roll equals c.roll admin. So it's got to be an admin or an owner. And then we could go into the SQL where there's the admin qualifier. And we could put our and right here. We don't need the admin modifier anymore. And now we can replace this with a parameterized query. And then, what was this before? Now we would put in here roll. So it's true. We don't need to check for the role at all if it's not an admin. But if you think about how do I streamline this, it will always be a little more verbose. It will always be doing one extra operation that doesn't strictly need to be done, which is if we don't need any permissions at all, we don't need to specifically check that the person is an admin. If it's the type of operation that any user could do, we don't need to check what user they are because any user could do it. But if we always put in the check that somebody with no permissions can do this, and we're explicitly documenting that that's what the case is, that someone with no permissions can do it, with no role can have access to it, as long as the other conditions that are set forth here are met. So we've got that bit. And now we have one SQL string that It does not require other SQL strings. And we could do the same thing with these other things. So we could look at the transaction modifier, and we could say updated at is greater than since raw, right? Okay, well, what if we say let since equals same thing. So since is going to equal since raw. And if rec.since, no, we could do since is going to be equal to 0, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1. Some time that is obviously not a real time. We could use the Unix epoch, perhaps would be a more standard way to go about it. So let's say that we did that. 1970, 010101, T000000, Z. We could do like that. Whatever. I'm not sure what the string format of this is. But then likewise, we could say, well, if this sense is correct, and then we could take this out. Yeah, we just get rid of it. And now we're going to check against the default date all the time, even when we don't need to. But the good news is we get to parameterize that. And so now that becomes our third thing, is since. So now we are consistent. And unless you actually need to eke out that extra little tiny bit of performance to know that when it's doing a query, it's not checking against a condition that doesn't need to be checked against, unless you're certain that that's really the performance you need, better to be consistent and to have a simpler flow that has fewer branches and less cyclomatic complexity than it is to optimize for something that doesn't matter. Because my guess, and I'm not sure here, but my guess is that by the time that we do all of these joins and these selects and blah, 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 and we account for all of the inefficiency that's just noise in the system at this point, and then we get down to where we're matching on particular user IDs. So again, now we've limited it to literally one user. At the point that we're doing these additional checks against one row, it no longer matters. And if the database has any smarts at all, it's going to do any comparator that is a strictly limiting comparator before it does any comparator that requires a table scan, meaning to check multiple rows. So if the database query planner is looking for something that has a comparator of equals, that is going to have a higher comparator what's the word? Precedent, not priority, not priority. I'm blanking on the word. My tongue is tied. Precedence. It's going to have a higher precedence than a comparator that is not a strict comparator that requires that could not operate on an index easily. So when you account for all of the noise, and then you account for these additional operations are only going to be happening on the smallest set of rows anyway, there's no reason in terms of, your cost-benefit analysis, the simplicity of being able to read things in one place versus the optimization of not running a check that has a default case that is the same as if the check didn't run at all. Your benefit in being able to put to use default values that are in the acceptable range as if the condition didn't happen at all is just greater. I'm stumbling over my words a little bit, but I hope that comes across clearly as to why, I'm hoping that this is a demonstration of how we could apply this principle, and that it's clear that the benefit is worth any potential insignificant loss. And anything where you don't want to follow a pattern like that, you want to clearly document why you don't want to follow that pattern. And if it's anything to do with performance, you really need me to make sure that the performance isn't in the realm of a sneeze or a blink, if you get what I'm saying here. Okay, so there was transactional modifiers. Now this one's a little tough. I'm not sure what this means. Ah, yes. All right, so this is one where I don't know if that can reasonably be applied. I can think of a way to apply it, but it would require a comment, which would be to do an and then put an or, and then this we would parameterize. And so we would say it's true, or it's true, or it's false. So this is a case where following the rule that I just set forth would require a little bit of, I'm not sure if there's a better way to do it. So let me just try this out and say, let include history equals false. No, is equal to true. And then here, or we could just say, let include history equal to, I don't know what that could be though. That could be a false, that could be a number of things. Okay, so if we, let's play it this way. We're gonna call this exclude history. So exclude history is false by default, and then true. I'm not sure if this is gonna work out right. Exclude history is false. All right, got it. So this will work. So if I take this, and again, this does violate a principle, but I think that it's better than the alternative of having these template strings. And I can comment on this, right? So I can say, this seems strange, but it allows us to define the default condition of including the history and having the option to exclude it. So ideally, we don't want to write code that has to have comments, but in this particular case, so now we've got 1, 2, this now becomes our third parameter. So it's our new third parameter, and this would be exclude history. So exclude history, if it's true, then @open is true or @open is true. That's doesn't make any sense, but it keeps us from having to have non-parameterizable SQL. This makes someone can look at this and they can guarantee the safety of the SQL because it's parameterized without having to go manually inspect an entire chain. So I would say that this is a reasonable trade-off. And feel free to argue with me or provide a different perspective, those of you watching in. I would actually love, if you know of a better way to handle what I just did, I would love to know about it. But I am going to stash this code and I'm going to bring it up for review. And I think I might, with this clip, I might actually show this to the team. Okay, so offset modifier. I think I actually did this once and I just didn't finish committing it because I didn't at the time, I didn't know what the right approach was. So offset should, by default, should equal 0, right? Offset is going to equal 0 by default. And then offset is going to equal this. And this makes sense too. So this one, saying offset 0 is perfectly fine. There's nothing odd or awkward about that. That makes perfect sense. So now offset is our new last thing. And then we're going to have a limit in here. So I'm just going to put that in there right now. And we're going to have this is going to become limit. And then back up here, I'm just going to define limit equals, and I think our default value was 100. And then we'll say if rec.page.limit, then limit equals, and this was already beforehand. If this exists, there's another part of the code where we know that it will be a number if it exists. If it's added to the object, it's added as a number. But that's in a part of the code that we can't see here. Anyway, so now when we look at this, and I'm actually going to go ahead and get rid of, my tool's freaking out a little bit because it's trying to get rid of some strings in there. So I'm going to go with space to the end. Did I do that right? What happened? It's complaining about some white space or some tabs or something. Let's see. Any amount of space. Okay, so there's a bunch of just space at the end of lines there. Okay, now it's not freaking out. So now everything's parameterized. So I don't have to have any concern about, is there SQL injection possible here? I don't have to go manually verify any of the code. Yeah, I had to include a comment because I had to do something strange, but it's less strange than the way the code looked before. So I'd say this is an acceptable trade-off. All right. Oh, wait, why does limit not exist yet? Cannot find the name limit. Did I not save? Limit. Oh, I need to do let limit. That's right. All right, so I think that's the end of that. Little gem for you, hopefully, on how to, I don't know. If somebody has an idea, I don't know how to put into words what I just did there. I don't know what, I don't know. There's probably some description for what I just did. It probably has a name, but I don't know how to describe it better than the way that I did. But I hope that that makes sense. So I'm going to go take this little bit here, and I'm going to stash that separately. So this was account transaction. What was the other bit? Okay. So I'm actually going to It's sanitize, isn't it? Whip parameterize SQL. That's what it should be called, parameterize, not sanitize, because it didn't sanitize anything. I parameterized, and parameterizing implies sanitization. All right, there we go. I think I might have already had a PR open for that, actually. But if I did, I don't think I did it the same way. I don't think I had it quite right. Make sanitization obvious. Yeah, I did go through this before. I had this mostly in there. I didn't know what to do about the transaction modifier, so I left that. This time I fixed it. Okay. Personally, I consider it an acceptable cost to sometimes do something twice. I mean, it's just, well, this whole thing that I'm doing right now, that is the expected cost, is that literally 2 people did the same thing because that seemed to guarantee the greatest chance. And now I am going through and I am doing it a third time because now I'm comparing the results of us both doing it and then taking the time to clean up anything that either of us didn't have the capacity at that moment to go fix those specific things. Now I'm going through and looking at them, and I probably just lost one by virtue of not actually committing that, but it's fine. It's a separate commit. Okay, where were we at? Where was that big honky SQL do at? Transaction modifier? Here it was. That's what it was called. Right? Yeah, and the original intent that I had was just to get rid of this parseInt, which I don't know that I succeeded in that. It looks like it's still there. Yeah. Okay, we no longer need this to do nix magic numbers because in fact we did nix the magic numbers. Okay, so I'm going to get rid of that comment just because, you know. Nix magic numbers. Boop, 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 boop. A little Blue's Clues for you. Maybe I'll put that on the Stream Deck. Probably never going to do anything with the Stream Deck. No, that's not true. I will do something with it. But so for example, I've got a VPN box sitting right there under the desk. It's been sitting there since December. And I bought the VPN service. I bought the box. I was going to do a live stream on it where I was going to get it all set up and tell you how great it was or wasn't. Who knows? But it just never happened. It's still sitting there waiting for me to do it. Okay, so we definitely don't need the parseInt there. I don't know why he was adding parseInts here. It's probably, yeah, it's like I said. It's just you're looking at a bunch of code. There's a bunch of weird things going on. You're just doing stuff. Okay, if not requester. And then what should this be? Role owner, right. Okay, got it. Oh, here's a place where we differ. I need to double check on that one because one of us was incorrect here. Let's see, good thing we did it twice. It's probably me that's incorrect. I'm the one that's most likely to get that incorrect. But over here, so with the role owner on the parseInt, this would be clearer if we were to refactor this to put just above here, let is admin equal, or let is owner equal above. And then, because the if, again, same as with templates, neither ifs nor templates should have, well, ifs can have expressions in them, not invocations, is what I would say. You should not have an invocation within your if. Because then when you read an if, you should be able to read just the condition and not have to parse any of the processes that must take place in order to lead to that condition. The processes should take place first, and then the comparison of the result should happen within the if. And a lot of this code style stuff I've been developing as I've been live streaming and as I've been refactoring, because I'm trying to figure out what's a set of rules that can lead to really, really readable code. And most of these are intrinsic to Go. All right, so this one, I need to figure out what this was before. So I actually need to, oh, that's me. I need to open up another diff. And I need to find out which of us is correct. Is it supposed to be an admin? Or is it supposed to be an owner? Because there's a difference there. I'm going to guess that I'm incorrect because I was the one that was getting sleepy-eyed on that one. You know, because it wasn't past 3 p.m. yet. I'd only had one Mountain Dew. All right, so I'm going to go look at mine. Let's see if I can find this specific one. Oh, spittle everywhere. Sorry about that, y'all. My lips are really dry. It's wintertime. Okay, 2. So 2. So it should be admin, and I put owner, but it should be admin. Thank goodness, all of my mistakes have been more restrictive, meaning that they would have caused a problem for someone that would have been reported, as opposed to not causing a problem that would have been discovered later. So 2 is admin, not owner. Owner is 1. Wait a minute. That doesn't make sense. Wouldn't we want less than or equal to? Get valid project link codes by ID. I guess an owner doesn't need the link code. Let's take a look here. It seems that that should be less than or equal to. Let's see. Shouldn't this be less than or equal to c.role admin? Meaning that owners are also included? I'm not sure. I don't know. That's a question we got to bring up. If I looked at this more closely, I might understand, but as it is, okay. But I know that I need to fix that. All right, I'm going to go a little further on this. Holy nachos, you got to be kidding me. I'm only this far along in the files. There's that many diffs? That can't be right. Am I looking? Oh, I'm looking at the wrong one. Okay, good. What? I'm no better? Holy moly. Oh, progress is not good. All right, that one. So I changed this, and it's probably going to be in some other file. Because it's not in this file, apparently. Where did I change the function signature? Where'd that function come from? Okay, I'm going to jump ahead to this. So I'm in routes pandadoc. I'm going to jump ahead to where this is declared so that I can verify. Okay, that's where it's declared. And I just changed it so that I could have an object. I don't know why I changed it to have an object. There was a reason for it. I think it had something to do with default parameters, but not quite clear. It's because, so here, 0 doesn't make a lot of sense, but here it's self-documenting. So if I pass in ID and 0, I don't know what that 0 means, but if I pass in panda document ID and timeout 0, then it's self-documenting. That's why I did it that way, reducing the magic numbers. Oh, it's time to delete a bot. Goodbye, bot. Have a nice Russia. I just needed to clean up something over here so I don't keep getting a flash every few minutes. Okay, so now I'm back to routes pandadoc. Okay, so I'm on board with that. Okay, and then here I did the %, and then here we did a %, and then here I caught that one, and it is indeed owner. And I caught this one. That's really confusing. I think that that deserves a little bit more time. Gosh, but it's just, I'm never going to get through this. This is, I'm just a little bit scared about this project because I don't know if this, I don't like taking on projects that can't come to completion. And this one scares me. because it has the potential to not reach completion because there's so many. It's so definitely is already behind schedule. And I cannot read these things. I cannot read these things. There's too many just equals and equals and parentheses and equals and parentheses and equals. I hate that crap. I hate it. Okay. Even here, where something's really long like this, I want to break this down. I mean, we got a double negation. We've got, yeah. I guess this is a user? Is that, yeah, everything is E. It's always E. And then we've got a dot length at the end here. So this is just, it's too many things going on. So I don't want to redo this too much, but this is really complex. I don't even know how to read this. Okay. I'm just going to call this blah for now. I'm going to call it foo. And then let's do what we're actually checking for. I think. Is it truthy? Length is greater than 0. That's truthy. It'll be truthy or falsy guaranteed. Okay. All right, so now I've got let foo equals, but what is foo? Let's go back up here. I think this is actually, this is plural. This should be plural. And I don't know what it represents. Okay, so what is what we're doing here represent? We're saying it's an owner and the current user ID is equal to the owner ID. So I think maybe this operation is actually a find or a sum. I think it's a sum is what it is. User is owner. I think that's what it's doing, because it's trying to say that you arrive at, the JavaScript array methods are so abused. It makes me want to go back to for each, really, because they're so, the for each would be more clear, because if you understand what a filter is for, and you understand what sum is for, and you understand, if you actually, the more array methods you know in JavaScript, the more difficult it is to read other people's code, because the more likely you are to encounter things that are semantically incorrect. So filter is to limit an array from a larger set to a smaller set. Find is to get one. Sum is to make sure that at least one exists, but not to actually return it. And so this sort of thing is difficult because when I see filter, I'm expecting that what we want is a funnel, that is the semantic meaning of filter. So when filter is not being used to funnel, but it's being used for something else, it's actually more difficult for me to read it. Whereas if you had just put for each, I would actually have an easier time reading it because for each says I'm not prescribing what way the data should be interpreted. I'm leaving it up to you to read the code to make your own conclusions about the interpretation. For each is non-prescriptive. It is descriptive. But filter and find and sum are prescriptive. And this is part of why I think that Go has made the right choice in only having a for loop and not having generics. It is not possible to create utility libraries in Go, at least not ones that you'd want to use because they'd be so incredibly bad. And it and because it's not possible to create utility libraries, it's not possible to create prescriptive methods and then use them particularly poorly. Edit that whole segment. It's a good philosophy of Go segment. It's a good Rust versus JavaScript segment. I'm gonna actually put a time code on that one. See if I can find that real quick. Where's my little... What's the name of this episode? This session? But when I get the Stream Deck, I'm actually going to have a little button. I'm not sure how to hook it up yet, but there's going to be a button. I think we're work number 52, if I'm not mistaken, and the marker we're at is 2 hours. Okay. I'm going to call it 1 hour 59. Just because, to be more specific, that I'm not rounding to 2, that it's right about 2. Okay. Hey, Kai, are you still on? I want to know if you heard that bit that I was just saying, if that made sense to you. If you've got any comments on that. All right, this makes more sense now. What does removing member mean? All right, I'm not going to change any of the places of code where there wasn't a magic number. So in theory, this came from the database. So in theory, we don't need to do the parseint on this because we know that this is a database object. Therefore, it must be correct. All right, I'm going to stay away from that. But this is a category problem that I would like to fix. There's 2 category problems here I'd like to fix. One category is that every element of a collection throughout the entire code base is just named E. And another one is multiplying by 1 and adding adding a string, an empty string, in order to coerce a value, which, and particularly in the case of coercing the string, this can lead to bugs and security vulnerabilities, particularly when you're talking about a user ID. I'm not entirely sure because I guess this user ID comes from the database, so we're guaranteed that this user ID from the database must be not null if the database constraint holds, which I'm pretty sure it does because I think that that's a primary key and a reference foreign key, so the constraint should always hold that this must be a number. So that should be fine. But this may be coerced into undefined, and the security issue is if you if you have to put on the mental load of tracing back, where did E come from? Where did partners users come from? What did partner user dot query return? Okay, if I have to put on the mental load of tracing back from here to here to here to know, oh, this is a database object, therefore this is not a security concern. That's more the problem. The person who wrote this code was actually really, really good at choosing conditions that don't actually have security issues. But in order to audit it, there's a lot of mental strain on having to go back and look up. Whereas if we can do a triple equals, and if I can be certain that I'm not going to be comparing undefined against undefined, because that's a somewhat common vulnerability in password systems, is that you could simply, for a certain users that their account's not set up, you could just do a direct post to the API with an empty password. And if the account hasn't been set up and they don't have the password in the database, because say, for example, you have a magic link or something like that. I don't know that this is actually, maybe saying it's common is too strong, but you can have a condition where you can manually put in an empty password or have the password be undefined, or similar situations are common. The category is common. Then you can be comparing undefined against undefined, or an empty string against an empty string, and then you let someone through the gate rather than blocking them at the gate, because you're relying on type coercion. And so that's why I don't like this pattern. That's why this pattern is feels dangerous. The person who wrote the code knows that there is no danger here. But me looking at the code, every time I see this, I have to go trace it back and make sure it's not dangerous. Whereas if we use the correct type from the get-go, then I don't have that same problem. And the better type, I think in this case, would be an integer, especially because nan is not equal to nan. So we do have the safeguard that if somehow this were to become nan, that will not be equal to nan, and it won't be equal to 0, etc. Okay. I think I'll say go ahead and edit that clip too. A little bit of security, a little security tidbit there. What is that? 207. What was the previous one? Something about, there was one about SQL. That was the one we just did here. It was something. Oh, it was semantics of array methods. Better no semantics than bad semantics. That's kind of what I'd call that one. Yeah, I think the person watching this does definitely need to be at least interested in code, because otherwise you don't know what to title the clip. And even if you are interested in code, yeah, the communication has to happen either way to be able to figure out how to title some of these clips, because they're just too technical. And I don't even know how to title them, to reach the audience that would benefit most from them, because titling them the way that I do might just only attract people that already get it. Okay, so we called it partner users. This is a very isolated change. I think it's okay. All right, I want to take one more look at it. Actually, I'm gonna message somebody real quick. We'll figure out what to do to get some time codes and comments and stuff. By the way, for those of you that are watching, yeah, if you would like to assist with the editing, if you wouldn't mind putting time codes in the comments whenever something interesting goes on, it would be so appreciated. All you got to do to put a time code is basically look at the timestamp on the video, say it says 1 hour 37 seconds, and you literally just put the time and then put a comment by it, and the time becomes a link. So I guess I should have explained that before. Okay, so I'm looking at partner users. User is owner. This message makes sense. And then it says here removing member is the user ID. So it is the member who removes. It is the remover. I don't know that this is true. This looks wrong on a few different levels. It says removing member, but it's actually an array. Again, this is just one of those things where but I am contradicting myself, right? So I'm saying it's better to not have semantics than to have bad semantics. And I'm saying I don't like that everything in the code base is named E. But assuming that the person who wrote the code is not skilled in the art of semantics, then were they to have tried half-heartedly, then the result might have been worse than what we have, because right now we always know that it's an exercise to the reader to figure out what E might mean. But it would have been worse, perhaps, for E to have been named something that was apart from what it is. So, meh. All right. Okay, I need to make another issue for a categorical. Let's see, refactor, categorical. So I think I'm just going to call this a categorical. So categorical. Elements of collections are named E. I don't think there's a way to systematically fix this, but just wanted to document that all elements of collections within are named E. Okay. I'm going to open up another category. I'm just calling it, because we're talking about refactoring. It is better to work vertically than horizontally. I agree to this. But categorical errors are horizontal errors. And some of them I don't know exactly how to say it. Coercion. How do we spell coercion? Coercion? Coercion. 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 Nope, it's a bridge too far to do the phonetic spelling. So edit seal. Okay. And I could show you. I'll show this in just a second. What's going on here? So all right, so this is another one. All right, my core practical issue with this is the difficulty of auditing the code to determine if the comparisons can lead to security issues. For example, bar A, bar permission. Editor, take this bit and clip it in with the other security bit, please. I'm going to mark this timecode 216. Okay. All right. So if permission +1, let's do rec dot. I mean, this is the possible security issue, is that you could present a case. I guess this is possible in other ways too, but I don't know. And then let's say compare to if we did parse int 10 and then parse int 10 here, then we would have nan is equal to nan, which is false. So this demonstrates the problem I spoke about. This should probably actually go in front of that. I don't know how to, maybe, I don't know how to do the tie-in on that one. But if you look at this, this is an example of the problem that I either just discussed or I'm just about to discuss, depending on where it gets cut in. I think that gives a little bit of wiggle room for that. Yeah, all right. And I gotta file another issue while I'm thinking about this. Categorical dangling promises. Async should be used in every instance where a value is a promise, with the exception of promise.all. Oh, let's see here. All right, with this exception. This would not make sense. So this is the exception to the rule. Would be if we needed to do this, obviously would not make sense. Well, I shouldn't maybe say obviously. Other than that, all right, so I might need to put this in my code guidelines. Anyway, all right. I think I might just let my focus sit there to rest. By focus, I mean my half of my 27 milligrams that are left over of focus in drug form. I might just leave that to sit so I can maybe get to sleep. All right, so we don't need that one anymore. We already got rid of that. Okay, the rest of these, oh, the list is so long here. Okay, but that one's not necessary. Okay, that one, I caught it. That one I caught. Okay, I think I caught a few more here. Okay, that one I caught. I do kind of want to categorically get rid of all of these just so that they don't show up in what I have to look through. But it'd just be a little too difficult. We should have defined that before we started on this, down this path. Yeah, and I did fix a few other things. There was a few linter errors that I fixed along the way. All right, so we got that one. Oh, whoops. I need to fix this. I didn't finish fixing this. So I set the let magic user blah, 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 blah. Which that looks weird because that actually is intended to be a constant. But I'm going to leave it. We're going to, I'll do const. I'll do it. This could be determined at compile time. Therefore, it does fit the definition of a constant. All right, and that, yeah, should be loosely equals. I don't want to mess with that loosely equals, at least. That's what I meant to say. I don't want to mess with it. All right, so this one, whoops, not that one. All right, scrolling along. Got rid of the 135 there. I don't know that this actually needs, so again, I have to travel back up to figure out does this object come from the database? If the object comes from the database, except this isn't entirely true either, because we have objects that are stored as text in the database that are IDs for relationships because reasons. The reason is actually quite a good one. We essentially have a DSL for our form logic, a domain-specific language, meaning that it's the new buzzword for DSL is basically no code. So DSL means that you have some sort of bespoke or custom programming language that when a user clicks buttons, it generates a set of instructions. And then the set of instructions can be interpreted in your code in very much the same way that an interpreter interprets a script. So essentially, it can be data. It could be an abstract syntax tree, which I don't mean to throw around so many words, but this is kind of what no code is. I'm learning. Again, the industry is all about recycling buzzwords. When a buzzword gets stale and it doesn't generate buzz anymore, then we take that buzzword and we call it something else. It's the same thing that happens with kids. We used to call it was radical, it was cool, it was tubular. I'm putting those kind of not in the right dated order. It's hot, it's cool, it's fat, it slaps, it hits different, so on and so forth. So as a word, a hype word loses its hype, we have to reinvent the word. And it turns out that we do that probably across every industry. The turbo encabulator. By the way, if you have not seen Turbo Encabulator, so you need to know about the original Turbo Encabulator, but I'm actually going to go to the Turbo Cloud Encabulator. Let's go to RooTube here. YouTube. And it might make more sense if you've watched the original first, but the SD-WAN Turbo Cloud Encabulator is the most important piece of technology that you can ever learn about, because it's one piece of technology that's guaranteed to never go out of style by definition. So the Turbo Cloud Encabulator. Boop. There you go. So check that out. I'm going to put that in the Discord too. Hey, Plementor, welcome. Everyone who's anyone needs to see this. I'm not going to put an exclamation mark. All right. Anyway, so I don't know. Maybe that makes a little. I don't think that was substantial enough to make a clip about buzzwording, but maybe it does. Maybe it does. You decide. Let me know. Comment with the time code if it's worth clipping for buzzwording. Okay. Let me go back here and check. Oh, I wanted to look and see, because it's called cur. I don't know if that means current or cursor, which often are the same thing. But cursor typically indicates database, whereas current could, well, I guess it typically means iterator. I can't tell where this thing came from. Yeah, I'm gleeking all over the place. I can't help it. My mouth is an odd shape. What can I do? All right, task dict. Yeah, who knows where this thing's coming from? Well, it's being passed in there. Task dict. That probably is coming from the database, but again, I don't know, so we're going to leave the parse int in there. I wish I could say, but I cannot say. Hey, come back over here, little heater. The little heater that could. Do you want to see the little heater that could? Of course you do. And I want to try out my new little newfangled thingamabob that I can do now that I couldn't do before. So we're going to do it. Oh, look. It's my heater. Is that upside down or right side up? I can't tell. Yeah, but you know what? This is dumb. You can't see it. We're going back. All right. I was just abusing my new toy. All right. Okay, all of this looks good. Is this effort worth it? That's the thing I got to ask myself every minute of every hour of every day. It's got to be, because we have to do this. We have to be able to communicate about what these things mean. As we go through the code, it's such a tedious process right now. It's so terrible. But I think in the end, this is something that is necessary to do. Okay. Importance. Good find. Good find. Okay, let's figure out what importance means. Builderware importance. I'm going to guess importance is a level. Let's see. Template, project template. With graph fetched. The template. So a template has an importance. Is the template importance different from the level? Okay, so Will did me a favor earlier. MySQL apparently doesn't have a way to describe foreign keys constraints. It doesn't have a way to describe constraints in the way that you might predict. So I think I need to first construct my query here. Give me a second. So I want to look at constraints. So I'm going to call this fk.sql for foreign key. All right, so database, I think we just call it database name. I'm going to check on the staging database for now. And the table name needs to be, what was it called? Template, I think. So, oh, by the way, I don't know why I didn't do this. Probably because it's so short, but pb copy copies the file into your paste buffer. Kind of weird. It's called paste buffer copy, but it copies into your paste buffer. So then when you go to paste, it is there. So you don't have to then select. Useful on macOS. Linux has something similar, I'm sure. All right. So what I'm understanding here is that this builder applies to this template, and the template has an importance. So I'm hoping, yeah, I'm not seeing any constraints on the table template. That's okay. We're going to do describe template. Let me bring this over here. I should do this on the dev database actually. Let me get into the dev database and then I'll bring it over for your review. Oh, excellent. Hey, can anybody tell me what R just said? I'm going to guess that means... Is Sergey on the stream? Let's see. I'm trying to get my monkey thought translator up. My Russian's really rusty considering that I've never done Russian. But I will go ahead and give it a try. Because you came on the stream the other day. I think you made a comment, but I'm pretty sure you made it in English back then. Why did it go straight to Chinese when I specifically asked for Russian? Oh, good. Let's go to English, shall we? Hey, okay, cool. Yep. All right, I got the hey. Sweet. I figured that bunch of symbols was something like that. Oh, somebody else is on the stream. I got it. How are you? Okay. Well, I'm losing a little bit of steam here. But I do want to get this. Oh, yeah, I said I was we're gonna give me just 1 second. Let me get logged into the database. We're gonna at least figure out if we can figure out. That's half the battle. Figuring out if you can figure out. Let's figure out if we can figure out what importance is. And we do have the person who wrote this code as a resource for us to continue to figure out what it does. But again, it's very, it's a hard problem because yeah, it's very expensive for us to do this ourselves, but it's also a necessary cost in terms of we must gain the experience of how to traverse the code, at least to some degree. So tomato, potato, I guess. Select star from template. No, I want to describe template. Describe template. Is it project template then? Okay, maybe it's project template. And maybe modify graph applies to the name of the model rather than, okay, but let's do show tables. Do we have template? We have template type. We have template fac, template metadata, template. Okay. Task template, transaction template. I'm guessing that it refers to project template. Template in this case is, I think it's the correct use of the word. Odd how often. What? Always thinks Cyrillic is okay. Yeah. We're talking about the. Well, so I think this is the thing. When I went to Google Translate, I think that first of all, I searched for Google Translate. I searched Google Translate and I searched on Brave. So I searched on Brave Google Translate Russian to English. So I think that what it had crawled and cached had the query parameters for English to Chinese because that's probably the most common use case for Google Translate for someone who is English because most of the world's population speaks Chinese. Well, most is not the right word, but a greater portion of the world's population speaks Chinese than any other population individually. And so that's probably why that specific one was cached. And then when I got to it and I pasted in Russian, because the query parameters had set something specific, but hey, we talked about cache invalidation. This is a perfect example of cache invalidation problem. Caching and naming things. The 3 hardest problems in computer science. Okay. So I should be able to get level. I think that's what we're up against is we want to describe project template. By the way, welcome, Vincent. Hello, how are you? Oh, we're going to block the bot. Odd Chinese fact. A lot of Chinese abroad speak Cantonese or traditional, but most Chinese speak and learn only Mandarin. So I don't really know the difference between those. I know there's traditional Chinese and simplified Chinese definitely does look simpler. I don't remember which is preferred where, because I was in China and Taiwan. And I remember in one they preferred one and they preferred the other. If I remember correctly, I think it was in China they preferred simplified. But I think we went to a Cantonese restaurant in Taiwan. My favorite Chinese food was the Japanese food. Also, I found out that I'm allergic to some sort of Asian something or other because when we ate at the Japanese restaurant, I think it was about half an hour to 45 minutes later, my palms became very, very itchy. And they were just very, very itchy, and I couldn't figure out what that was. But then later, I, I searched it, and I discovered that it is quite possibly related to an allergy. That seemed the most likely candidate. So there is some Asian food, probably a fish of some sort, because it was Japanese food, so there's a lot of fish. I think it was a sushi bar in China that I am allergic to. So if you want to kill me, I don't know what it was. It also could have been a strange fruit because they had that was the first time I ever had dragon fruit. I did not know there was such a thing. I'd never seen it in the supermarket before. All right, so I don't see anything about. Okay, so now I want to go look in the code and see if I can find importance. Oh, that's not what I meant to do. Can I find importance referenced elsewhere? Okay, project ties. Seems like a decent candidate. Transactions. So is it a transaction that has an importance then? A project template does not have this. But, okay, so why did the builder look as though builder where? So this modify graph template. There's nothing about transactions here. Okay, here's a good question. Is this dead code? Does it even run? But it would appear that importance is related to a project template only through a transaction. So let's look again. Importance is greater than 3. How important is this to you? Oh, about a 7 or so. How important is this? True. I wonder. Huh. All right, let me read through this again. Okay, so transaction query. I was looking too deeply. That was my problem. I was blinded by the specificity. So I was assuming that because the builder is being created here, that the builder would be related to the most. This seems specific, right? My guess is that in fact this is optional, and that it is unrelated to the modify graph. Or, I don't know, that's kind of confusing because modify graph, this says it's going to fetch the graph. This says it's going to modify the graph. Does this actually modify the graph? I don't know. It's hard to say, isn't it? This says it's a getter, not a post. So modify might just be telling it that it's going to prune the graph after it constructs the query. I don't know. I have no idea how to interpret this, but it is transaction importance, right? Is that what we're discovering? So I need to go look at describe transaction, right? Describe transaction. Oh, darn. Maybe transaction template? I don't know. Does this have importance? Importance. It does have importance. Okay, well, that's good. So let's try transaction task real quick and just see if that has importance as well. That does not have importance. So only transaction so far has importance. That's good. This gets us somewhere. Okay, so then I can modify this query. And this time I think it's going to be my database. And then we can say not template, but transaction template, right? And then if I paste this over into the database, ba-da-da-da, now I get some foreign keys. Huzzah. Okay, can I make any sense of them? I was hoping to find importance in here. I don't think I do. Maybe importance is a sort order. Maybe importance means nothing. That would be hilarious. Oh, the irony. All right, let me check out what we got here. Simplified is Mandarin and traditional is Cantonese. Taiwanese is its own thing? I don't think so. But most likely Cantonese related? Yes, okay, yes. Obviously, Taiwanese has a dialect, but yeah. Okay, agreed. Because I don't know anything really about it, but from my experience there, I did not get the sense that they spoke Taiwanese. I got the sense that they spoke a dialect of traditional. Okay. Could also be allergic to a type of fungi. China uses something like 109 different types in their cooking. Or it could have just been lead. That's so scary. No, that's true because there was a bunch of weird mushrooms. I remember specifically the mushrooms were so strange and not something I was used to. They're very, very chewy like rubber. Yeah, they did have a lot of different. I guess they weren't technically mushrooms. They were a fungi of some sort. So yeah. All right. So all right. Let's help me out here. Where the letter L does importance come from? Get transaction notifications. Maybe I should just search through the database and kind of see what transaction templates look like. Select importance. Let's see what else. Maybe name or something. Who knows? From transaction template. I don't know why that didn't work. Does it have a label? I'm gonna have to go describe it again. Won't I? Oh, there we go. Label. Okay, so can we do a group by? Group by importance. Interesting. Appears to be a bit mask. We're going 0, 3, 5, 10. Those are the only values that are possible. That does very much seem to be. And then can I do a count of importance as well? It's been a while, you know. Count importance. Will this do it? Let's just get rid of the label. Just do ID instead. Okay. So there's only one thing that's of importance 3, and there's only one thing that's of importance 10. So it turns out that this is more useful than it would appear. Custom transaction, corporate documents, custom transaction. So my guess is that because there's only one of these, that this, when importance is used as 3, it is, again, a really strange signal. And this is a transaction template? Okay. Corporation documents. So I think this may be a cheat for selecting this specific thing, and that 3 was selected as an alternative to an ID for corporation documents, and that 3 in of itself has no particular meaning. This is just saying that it's something that happens beyond this. And for all I know, importance lower is better. Who knows? But then there's only one thing that's of importance 10, and that's a custom transaction. So let's look for importance again. So we've got importance 5. Everything's 5. Default to, maybe there's something in here that will, maybe a comment. Nope, no comment. Well, I think the important thing is that we know that importance is always 5. It doesn't appear to ever be sorted on. It doesn't appear to ever be used in any way other than to differentiate the one document. Well, no, default to. So the importance is either 0 or 5 unless it's 3 or 10. So importance is just an arbitrary number. Okay. Yeah. What do we do about it? Thoughts? We just wait until tomorrow and we ask. That's what we do. I'm going to go to bed now. I'm just going to put this comment in here. All templates default to 0 or are 5 except corporation of documents is 3 and custom transaction is 10. All right, I'm just going to put that in there. Let's see if I can get just a little tiny bit more before I conk out. Okay, that looks right. Surprise. This sort of thing seems that it should throw a type error exception. If you're supposed to either pass a function or nothing, but you pass a number, and maybe it does throw a type error exception. Let's check that out real quick. JSON.stringify. It should be able to stringify anything, even not a thing, right? Interesting. Okay, well, does not throw a type exception. Okay. Could also be that if it's null, it never reaches the replacer because there would be no reason for it to ever iterate over anything. So let's give it foo and bar instead. Nope. So, Vincent R., what are y'all up to tonight? Just having a hard time sleeping? Decide to visit the channel to get your Z's? What does that refer to? This is in PandaDoc. That's going to be a PandaDoc magic number. No sense in me digging into that right now. Okay, let's just see if there's anything else in here before I push this. Okay. And I did also get rid of some magic regexes. Magic regexes are sometimes, yeah. And something that wasn't named particularly easy to follow. Yes, I changed the signature of that so that tries would be self-documenting. Yep. Okay. Oh, and then all of these are going to be different just on the basis. Okay, so I'm going to try one more thing before I go, I think. First, let me skip over this. because I think this is the one of the last ones that's particularly long and doesn't need to be. I mean, this is an easy one to fix. Yeah, this whole file here, that's the one that's the most different, but really easy to fix. Oh, interesting. How did that get over here? Okay, that's all the constants file. Oh joy, more SQL. This one, he's correct. Check project access, that should be parameterized. Let's see. All right, good. So we've reached the end. So there's two things. I want to correct this for myself. This should be parameterized. So middleware authentication check project access. I'm going to go fix that real quick. Middleware authentication check project access. And then we're looking for a template string. This here should be parameterized. 100% agreed. Easier to audit. And the role really should be admin. Are we agreed on this? Admin is 2. Okay, we both agreed on that. So it must have been 2 before. Okay. So just giving it a brief glance here. Okay, that looks right. Now I'm going to go into his, and then I'll make a couple changes, and I'll save the rest. So again, recap. What happened was, because this is such a tedious task, and it's so error prone, and there's so many ways that, and that could affect security, where some of these magic numbers are referenced to permissions and whatnot. We assigned the task to 2 of us. We both completed it, and now I'm comparing between what we both did to find out what the differences are, to see, did we both arrive at the same places. And what I found was, I, in at least 2 places, made a error, a permissions error, which thankfully elevated the permission to where the error would be that the person who should be able to access it can't. I did not make the error where someone who shouldn't be able to access it could, but I made that error, and then there was a number of places that the other person just missed the conversion entirely. But there are also places where he noted something that I had missed entirely. So he didn't go dig it down at that time, but gave the clue to, oh yeah, we do need to look at this. So the process of having 2 people do the work, I would judge as effective is a strong word, but accomplish the goal. So not efficient, but effective. There we go. That would be correct. Okay. Oh my goodness. Whew. Decided that Xorg is bloat, and I'm not going to be using anything other than a console with tmux. Good. I mean, unless you're a Linux desktop user, which, if I remember correctly, maybe you are. That's what the L in Vincent L. Anderson stands for, right? It's Vincent Linux Anderson. So I'm just going to run a Linux VM on an open box on OpenBSD. So you might be interested in, what was it called? Ansible? Ansible? I think it was called Ansible. Not Ansible, but Ansible. BSD server. It had a name like that. Maybe it was Ant something. It sounded like Ansible, but it wasn't Ansible Anyway, it was a Kickstarter of some sort to basically be BSD Docker in a box. Mm. Mid, I don't think it exists anymore. It was a cool project, though. Cool idea. We need as a web. I'm just gonna compile my own version. Yep. Can't trust systemd, dbus, console kit, elognd. Clowns will eat me. Yeah, you're right. Looked into Rust. Found out that it depends on proprietary binary blobs. Uh, Tell me more about that. Everything except RFC and assembly are lies. You are right. That is true. That is true. The world, we live in a tough world. I feel a speech for, this is not the world we deserve, but it's not the world, it's not the Gotham the world deserves, but it's the, I don't know. I don't know how that speech goes, but we need one of those, except that we can't because we don't get the thing we deserve. It's not it's not what Gotham needs right now. It's what Gotham deserves, but not what Gotham needs right now. What is it? I could probably look that up. I'm not going to. I'm going to do the thing that I said I was going to do, and then I'm going to go to bed as I said that I was going to do because it is necessary. All right, so we're gonna get rid of all these. See how easy that was? I'm just looking for, I don't know exactly. Well, you know what? I think I'm trying to save time on something that doesn't make sense to save time on. Because really, what I'm trying to save time on is simply this. And this is not hard. Constants. Although, less typing means less typos. Oh, sweet. Hold on. Could I have been doing this the whole time? Yeah. Oh, wow. Look at that. Look at all that autocomplete I have just hidden away there, waiting for me to use it at a moment's notice. All right. What do you got here? This is never used? Fine. Delete it. I don't need you. I will delete you because I don't need you. I need to remember what the button is to go to the next error on the next line. Ugh. So I just need to go fix a bunch of these things. Order is declared, but its value is never read. I don't think there's any side effects here, so let's get rid of it. Okay, is there anything else? All right, this is a to-do. Renamed that one. How far down are we in this file? What percentage? I don't know how to get the percentage to show back up again. It used to show the percentage when I scrolled, I think. Or maybe that's just when I'm using less and not when I'm using Vim. I thought it gave me the percentage once upon a time. I don't know where that percentage went. If somebody finds it, please return it. I would not cry about having it once again. That's for sure. Okay. Are we going to reach the bottom of this? Are we going to reach the bottom of this? Okay, partner, default basic, partner, default standard, status active. So I think I just need to replace basically anything that starts with all caps. I just need to put a C dot in front of it. Okay, let's see how big is this file. Okay, I was almost done with it. So just a couple hundred lines. Commit, go to bed, wake up extremely tired. and then repeat the cycle of incompetence. Okay, I think we're almost there. Almost there. Okay, we've arrived. If I do a diff on this, we're going to see that. And actually, let me just double check on something. C is only that in one place, right? Okay. So there's that, 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 that. Okay. All right, with that, okay, last thing I need to do is check out, no, branch dash D magic numbers X, check out magic numbers, check out dash B magic numbers X, git check out the branch that has the wrong name because it was intended for something else, but then became this. Add all the source, check there's nothing else that's of particular value or interest. Git commit, whoops, do not merge. And then we'll do our git push and we'll be out of here. Hey, good night, goodbye to you as well. Have a good one. All right. Well, I'm out of steam. There's no sense in me drinking more focus because I am a human, unfortunately, and do need sleep. So be it. All right. So we'll review this tomorrow, and this should be our final review. The version on the left should be the most correct. So I changed my mind. I'm gonna do one more thing, which is I'm gonna check out. I'm going to reverse the way this reads because the green should be the version that is the most correct, right? So I'm going to check out Will's, and then I'm going to check out this one, and then I'm going to check out mine, and I'm going to add it this way because mine is the best combination of the two, if I'm not mistaken. So then mine should show up on the right, and mine will be what we merge as the most correct of the two. So now mine is on the right. Interesting. Oh, this was a to-do. Do we want both by default? Not do, but don't. That's the question. Is this a bug? That's what I wanted to know. All right. And then inevitably, oh yeah, and that one's its own thing. I cleaned this all up earlier in the stream. That was actually a really good segment, I think. Okay, all right, I'm out. Oh gosh, this task took basically a week. Well, I mean, we've had some other stuff go on, and I don't know, didn't have the best past few days in terms of productivity during normal hours. Which, who does have productivity during normal hours? You know what I'm saying? Am I right? Well, thank you for the good nights and the good lucks. I really appreciate it. Like and sub if you got them. Thumbs down if you don't. Share with someone you like if you liked it, or someone you don't if you didn't like it. We just did a stream today with, there was 5 of us on there, including Josue from the channel. Well, from the Discord, one of the channel members. I don't know the right way to say that is. Anyway, but it was Ryan and Carl, local blockchain experts. Anyway, that's what I was going to say is we did this blockchain thing. So if you want to check what happened recently and watch the blockchain debate, I'd say that was pretty good. We've last few streams have been mostly pretty good. The part 10 of the ETL series with the dash Trello to GitHub. That one was actually, that had a lot of good moments in it too, starting right around the 45-minute mark. There was lots of just Q&A and rants and raves and stuff from about, I think about the 45-minute mark until about the hour and 40-minute mark. There's just lots of good stuff interspersed in there that some of it somebody put in the time codes, and really do appreciate it if y'all, when y'all are watching, if something's interesting or cool, you have an aha moment, something like that, put a time code in the comments. I am getting an editor, and obviously I don't have $1 billion for the channel, because the channel just, it makes money in the sense that it brings opportunities, and I think that it's worth investing in. But I'm trying to figure out a low-cost way to kind of extract the valuable, cool information and be able to build on that. So we'll see what happens. Anyway, I'm out. Thanks again, and y'all have a good one. Das vidanya. Is that right? Did I get it? All of the Russian I know I learned from Anastasia, so there's that. Arrivederci, that's Russian, right? That's what the bat says. The bat's a Russian bat, isn't it? Okay, enough of that. Adios.